All right, everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Toon podcast. I am joined by Lee down in a wet and miserable Brisbane by the sounds of it. How you doing?
Aye, it's shitting itself outside at the minute. Just happened just before we came on, so if this gets cut off halfway through a sentence, that'll be why. I'm getting stopped by the bloody thunder or something. I'm all right, mate, yeah. How you going? Got your lipstick on again?
Aye, not too bad. I think this is my first podcast of the season, to be honest. I think it is.
Is
It's
it?
been that long since I've done one, But I'm
Bloody
looking
hell, man.
forward to jumping on this one. But we're going to review the Man City game, touch a little bit on a few other things that have come out of context of that game, and we're going to break down a little preview of the League Cup game against Wimbledon, which got rescheduled at St James's Park since their pitch got turned into a mini golf course. So we'll dive straight into it. We're going to go crack on with the Man City review. It was a midday kickoff, which normally spells disaster for us, as our midday results as of late haven't exactly been great. And then when you throw Man City into the mix, I think we're all thinking, yeah, again, it's going to be an absolute car crash of a performance. But it certainly didn't turn out that way, given the performance for the whole 90 minutes. It was a solid team display. We'll crack off with the first opening 10-15 minutes, and we seem to be the better team from memory of Lee. If don't know how you recall it, but we had the press going. Murphy had a few chances down the wing. Gordon looked lively up top. In the midfield, we're getting some meaty challenges in.
I think we wanted to have a fast start, didn't we? We wanted to get out there and sort of put ourselves around after the Fulham disappointment. Yeah, my memory's a little bit dusty at the minute because I was shit faced, to be honest with you. I've been watching the Brisbane Lions all day win the Premiership, and I had a few beers by the time this game came around. Just about it came out at 9:30. Otherwise, I probably would have been unconscious if it was any later. But I think the idea was to get out there, put ourselves around, let them know that we're in the game. We're not going to just sit back. I actually thought in the preview that I did with Mark, I thought probably we would end up ultimately sitting back deep as we kind of do with City and trying to hit them on the break. But it wasn't really like that. I don't know about you, but like I remember sitting there thinking, this Man City team doesn't seem to care much about this game. It didn't look like they had the energy. It didn't look like they gave too much of a shit about it. They were kind of casual with what they were doing. Wasn't any real fast darting runs. It was quite a surprise. It wasn't at all what I was expecting to see from City. I thought they would be looking to get some points back after the draw against Arsenal, but maybe that took a lot out of them. Maybe the Arsenal game was their big game of the the 5 weeks, whatever it's been now.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the after the Lord's Mayor show sort of thing, where it's like a bit of a dip, and maybe we just got them at the
Yeah.
right time. And obviously, the midfield's missing one of their key players in Rodri. So I don't know. What do you think? Because I just didn't think they looked like they were really asked about being there.
Well, when the news broke that Rodri was severely injured and he's done his ACL and he won't return the season, the impact he has on our squad, on Man City squad, is equally as important as to what Bruno has to ours. You take Bruno out of the mixture, and we just fall down like a deck of cards in a hailstorm. It's just one of those things. We're so reliant on him being on that pitch, and I think they're the same with Rodri. The win percentage with him in the squad is absolutely insane. I think he got 54 unbeaten games when he's played.
Yeah, yeah. But
Which is an
they're
insane stat.
but they're a team of
And
absolute superstars mostly, and we aren't quite there. So, like, you're losing Bruno of a team that isn't world class. Yes, you'll suffer, but you lose a world class player in a world class squad. You'd still think they'd have equally amount of other world class players to fill that void, And it looked like they just. I don't know if they were thinking we're just going to rock up and beat these guys. Like, I don't know. It was just the mentality from City didn't look like where I expected it to be, And maybe that helped us get going at the start of the game.
well, maybe like the start that we done actually rocked them a little bit. Maybe they were expecting a bit of a hangover ourselves from the Fulham game,
Maybe.
and maybe just roll over and have with tummies tickled for the full 90 minutes. But you got to think as well, they were missing De Bruyne as well.
Yeah,
And
he's
when
class.
you take De Bruyne and Rodri out of any squad, that squad's not going to perform anywhere near as good as it can to its potential. You've got a lot of influence in that midfield attack and defence, as Rodri is a full-on box-to-box midfielder. And we all know what De Bruyne is capable of doing in the same fixture last year. He absolutely tore us apart with that cameo when he came on. But yeah, the game started off well in our favour. I can't remember any real clear-cut chances, however, before Man City's goal. I know Trips Shepherd won into, I think it was out for a corner when Haaland came in at the back post, but Trips had it well defended. So that was a pretty decent bit of defending. Haaland, we are actually, as a little stat, his worst team to play against. He's got 1-5 against us. He's scored a lot more against other teams out there. So Big Dan Burn, who was an absolute man mountain in this game, and we'll get him a little bit further, absolutely done a monumental job on him in that game. But when it came to the first goal, it kind of came against the run of play, I kind of thought, in terms of how it was going on and what was happening. The ball was down our right hand side. It was our old good mate and Miggy's best friend, Jack Grealish, who was pretty much one on one with Trips. Now, when it came to him getting past Trips, did you think it was just a good bit of skill? Trips were back committed, or you got lucky with a bounce back?
Could have been all those things, really, couldn't it? I mean, Grealish is a good player. I know he gets a lot of shit, and maybe he didn't do massive amounts in this game, but I still think he's a hell of a player, and he's very
Yeah.
dangerous when he's got the ball at his feet. You take on your man, and you earn that little bit of luck. If there was I can't remember whether there was a rebound or whatever. But if you're doing that because you're taking on your man, you deserve that kind of luck. And obviously, you know that about him. You know he's going to have a go at you. You know he's going to try and take you on and get around you. And how about that? How about the goal though? I mean,
Aye.
it sort of turned him inside out and slotted in the corner. That was a smashing goal, wasn't it? Who scored that one again? I forget now.
Josko Garvidal, or however it's pronounced,
I'm glad you
on
said
the
that.
35th minute.
Oh, Guardiola, right? Yeah, yeah.
Aye.
So it was
Uh,
nice. It was like a twist and turn and then a shot, wasn't it? And do you reckon? Do you reckon Pope could have done better with that one?
I think he expected Burn to cut him off because Burn ran across in front of the defender, expecting him to shoot early, but he dragged it back and kind of sideswiped Burn and then just side footed it past Pope. I think he was just too quick, caught everybody off by surprise.
Hmm.
Was a cracking goal, to be honest, especially for a defender. It's a type of goal you'd be pleased if your attacking midfielders or your striker scored for the calm and composure on the ball. But 2 minutes after that, I believe it was 2 minutes pretty much after, we pretty much got the wake up call, and our reaction to that goal going in was actually better than what it has been as of late. Because lately, when we've had goals conceded, we've kind of sat back a little, not really turned up the tempo and reacted as well as we should have. But the finger was definitely on the pulse on this one, and Joe Linton had a cracking effort on target, saved by their keeper, Edison, I
All
think
right.
it is. It was a
No.
cracking save as well. But in the build up to, just after that shot, Fabian Shaw was put to the ground. And this is one of the three penalty claims that I want to talk about here.
You were
When this
screaming.
happened live, I seen it. I was literally screaming at the TV. I don't know who it was on Shaw, but he's literally got a hold of him and he's thrown him to the floor. And I've looked at it numerous times, and I do think, without me black and white tinted glasses on, that that was more of a penalty than the one that was actually given. Your thoughts on the Shaw incident?
Well, well, at the time, I didn't think there was an awful lot in it. By the way, you don't have any other glasses. You've only got black and white glasses. So you're always going to side on the side of the two, and that's fine. At the time, I thought, there's not that much to it. But yeah, when I saw the replay, he actually starts grappling with Shaw before the ball even comes in, if I'm not mistaken. And Shaw's moving forward to try and get in a position to stick his head on it, one would assume. And he's kind of getting forced towards the goal, isn't he? And then he kind of goes down, and they're not anywhere near the ball, really. They're not, they're kind of not even playing the ball. They're just sort of grappling with each other, and Shaw goes down. You've seen them given. You've definitely
Mm-hmm.
seen those ones given, and in regard, sorry, to the one that was given, I thought that one was incredibly weak. So, and there was another one afterwards which I thought was stronger than the one that we actually got as well.
Yeah.
But it just seems to me that I know they want to kind of stop. They want to stop stopping the game every 5 minutes and like doing 3 or 4 minute reviews of every single little incident, but they've kind of almost gone in the other direction, like where they're doing millisecond reviews. Like you're watching the thing happen on the screen, and then the ball's back in play or whatever, and the commentator is still talking about it, and then he goes, "It is being reviewed, and that's already been cleared." And it's like, how quick was that? Like, the shooty, what did he do? Look at one angle, and then that was it.
Mhm.
Because surely there was enough in that, even if I didn't think at first it was anything foul. I didn't think it was a penalty, but there was surely enough in there to sort of say, right, let's spend just a little bit of time making sure that's fine. But they didn't, and it's not the first time either. So I don't know what's going on with
Yeah.
VAR this season. I know they are trying to speed things up, but like speed it up, yes, but don't just almost flippantly kind of dismiss these things either. But we didn't get it at the end of the day, mate. We didn't get it, but we did get one. So
Yeah. Half time comes along, and we go in at the break 1-0 down. Arguably, probably the better team of that half, I would have thought. Yeah, we can all have our own opinion on that. It may have been a bit more balanced and 50-50, but I thought we may have just tipped the scales by the odd percent or two, not by much though. But it was definitely, probably, again, the best first half performance so far this season. I don't think there's any question on that one, do you, Lee?
definitely, probably. Um,
Definitely, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we were in the game, yes, but we weren't really threatening the goal. I mean, they weren't really threatening ours either, really, when you think about it. Wasn't an awful lot of goal mouth action, as I recall, in the first half. I think we were actually better second half.
Well, okay. Yeah,
And we didn't make
fair
any
enough.
changes at half time either.
No, we didn't. Which is, I think, the last two previous games Eddie has done
Yeah.
to try and make a positive impact, but not really needed in this one, which was evident by again that first half performance. So come out for the second half, and it's pretty much a repeat of the first. A nice bit of impact from all the wide players. Everybody's digging in. Everyone's grafting. All three midfielders picked up a yellow card in this game. Do you put that down to just being overly physical, just being overly aggressive, wanting to win the ball, something that you want to see the want and desire from all three of the midfield players, especially Tonali, because it's one of the it's the first Premier League game he started in the year,
Mm.
and the challenges he was having with Jack Grealish shows that he's got that passion burning inside him. He's got a lot of it locked up inside him as well, because again he hasn't really kicked many balls lately, and seeing that type of passion from him was an absolute a breath of fresh air. I can't speak today.
For
And
sure.
same with Joe Linton and Bruno in the middle, and that has to be our best midfield pairing by far too.
No, I think it's definitely the best midfield. You wouldn't get many arguments from the fans on that one. Tonali looks like it's going to be one of those kind of players that doesn't mind sticking himself around a bit, which is fine, as long as it's controlled and he doesn't get a steady red card or two silly yellows or whatever. But yeah, he's probably is trying to make up a little bit. He's probably trying to get some of that frustration out. Maybe he's trying to show his passion for the club after 12 months of sitting on his arse doing nothing by his own mistake. I mean, how many how many yellows is it before you get a ban? Is it still like 10 or something?
Um,
5.
I don't know.
What is it again?
It's five, I think, and then 10 for
Like,
a two-match ban or a three-match ban, even
yeah.
something like
So
that.
I
I can't
mean,
remember now.
you
The
obviously didn't
rules
want to be
change every
racking up
season.
too. You don't want to be racking up too many this early in the season. I wonder if a little bit is about the way some of these teams that we've played so far have taken the tactic to us, where they basically kick us off the park a little bit and
Mm.
get in our faces and try and wind us up a little bit. I mean, Fulham were kicking the shit out of us quite a lot, and it worked well. Fair enough. Um, we benefited from the early clash between Byrne and the freak of nature that is Haaland, which was entirely accidental. But I think
Yeah,
that worked for us because he was certainly hobbling around in the immediate aftermath, and he didn't really look like doing much else for the rest of the game. He was looking pretty frustrated with himself, actually, especially at the end there when he missed our header. Um, and I wonder if maybe we've just said, look, we need to be more aggressive. Like I think in the second half there was more about the intensity as our identity. And we've said this before on the pod, and I'm sure everyone else who's watched the town has said this as well. Uh, we just don't have that at the minute, and there's probably any number of reasons. We touched on this in one of the pods recently, so I'm not going to go over it again. But I think in this game, particularly because we're playing one of the best teams in the world, you want to get out there. You want to put yourself around. You want to show them that you're not going to be a pushover. You're not going to just sort of, get on your knees and stick your ass in the air and wait for a pounding. And I think it was a lot to do with that sort of thing. And maybe they also saw the fact that because Rodri's not there, because De Bruyne is not there, here's a chance for us to stamp our authority on that area and try and control that space a bit more than we have been able to, certainly when we've played City in the past.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah, pretty much hit the nail on the head on that one. So halfway through, 50 minutes in, 58 minutes gone, and Bruno plays a lovely little slide ball, which
Really.
goes straight through the heart of the City defence. Gordon latches onto it. He goes to round the keeper. And in my opinion, and same as Shearer, who was in the studio when we were watching it off the sport, reckons it was too much of a heavy touch. He's probably either going to run it wide or not get enough of contact to get a shot on target. So he hits the deck. Now, I'm not saying he's took a dive. There's definitely some contact there. Whether it's enough contact to bring him down, albeit if he's running at full pace or anything, that is all up for discussion. But your initial thoughts on that? As soon as he hit the deck, were you thinking penalty, or are you thinking he's bought one here?
I was certainly hoping it was a penalty because we need some way of getting back into the game, but I didn't think it was a penalty. It looked very soft to me. And you got to remember who this is. It's Gordon. He does this quite often. Like, this isn't the first time he's ever went across the keeper and felt the ground and won us a penalty. It's kind of one of his things that he does. And I'm not saying necessarily that this occasion was one of those, but the contact that was there, which you can see from one angle when you watch the replays, it's minimal, man. Like, if there's anything at all, it's very, very slight. So I think Gordon's realised he's took a heavy touch. Now, he's clever enough, Gordon, to potentially do that on purpose. He's potentially hit that to the side, knowing full well that the keeper's going to commit and he's going to throw himself to the ground under any suggestion that he's being touched, and he's going to try and win us a penalty and get us back in the game. At the same time, maybe he was fouled. It doesn't take a lot to fall off your feet when you run the pace. But it's Gordon. We know he does it. I suspected it was nothing in it. I think it was soft, and I was very happy to get the penalty. And by the way, what a bloody good penalty!
It was yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was almost Isak levels of cool and calmness, wasn't it? He
It
just
was.
literally tucked it away into that bottom left corner, sent the keeper the wrong way. And yeah, I didn't have high hopes for him, to be honest, taking the penalty because he showed a little lack of confidence lately and not quite the player that he was last season. I was thinking maybe he's going to saved or he's going to put it wide, whatever it may be. But now, thankfully, he didn't. He kept his head high, kept his focus, and he smashed it into the back of the net.
He tends to score though. He doesn't tend to miss his penalties, so he's actually quite reliable. He was talking to somebody after the game, and he was saying he has a process that he goes through when he's going to take a penalty. So he's got in his mind, he's doing various things. I think he said he was drowning out all the noise. He was focusing on what he was going to do, how he was going to kick it, where he was going to. Well, he's probably thinking, I'm going to look over here, but I'm going to kick it over there, or playing mind games, as they do. And it was nice as well because he said he was actually really emotional from the display that we had, the War Flags display. Another absolutely wonderful thing from War Flags, who continue to do these amazing spectacles. He said that he was almost in tears on the pitch at certain points when he saw it, or maybe it was when he was walking out. He was actually nearly in tears. But he was saying, he doesn't think that people can really ever understand how much that would mean to a player like him who's at this club, and he sees those kind of shows of affection from the crowd towards him. He's not been here that long. You got to remember, and maybe that gave him the lift because he was at it right from the very start, and he hasn't been for
Yeah,
the
he
last
was.
couple of games, but he was right at it for this one, and he won the penalty. He took it really well, and I think, to be honest, bearing in mind that he's not a striker and he was playing up front by himself the whole game, I thought he was just amazing. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He's such an asset to us.
Oh, absolutely, yes. He is one of the key players of the squad. He's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet when fit, and thankfully he does stay fit for quite a lot. He's the man who he replaced, Alan Saint-Maximin. He couldn't stay fit for 2 games in a row. And he was a joy to watch ASM, but Gordon is just the next level and somewhat above ASM what he could ever be as a player. And thankfully, he is ours. But yeah,
And
well taken penalty, well taken goal. And we're now going to get on to probably the most obvious of the three penalty decisions right here. Now, this is, again, Joe Linton running out of the box. I don't think he took a heavy touch or anything. I think he was literally just about to take a shot from what, maybe 6 yards out. And Kyle Walker just barges him over, doesn't he?
it was it was it was as clear a penalty as I think you could hope to see. I wonder if it just came too early after the other one and the bottled it. You know how it can sometimes go like that. Um, I I was stunned, honestly. We'd just seen Gordon go down over a very soft one, and then the ref just waves away what looked, for all in the world, to me like a blatant penalty. Because Kyle Walker deliberately puts his foot in the way of Joe. He's not getting the ball. He's nowhere near the ball.
Anyway,
He's been done. Joe Linton's basically in a better position. He's going to kick the ball towards goal, and he just brings him down. Like I don't know if it's because he did it so subtly or the ref was blindsided or whatever. But I mean, for God's sake, that's what you got VAR for. Like if it's something blatant, if it's a clear and
mhm.
obvious, I know that's a phrase that everyone gets banded around all the time and doesn't seem to mean a damn thing. But like, surely you can look at that and go, he's not played the ball. He's deliberately made contact with the with Joe Linton's leg with his foot. He's brought him down in the box. He's denied a goal scoring opportunity. What else can that be? It's a penalty.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Uh, as you said, it's clear and obvious, isn't it? It really
Well,
is.
to
Of
me, it is.
the three, the one that we got, I actually thought that was the penalty that we got. That was the weakest of the three shouts that we had,
Oh, for sure.
in my opinion. Which again just shows the level of refereeing in this country in VAR. I do think you're right. I think they bottled it to call it back for the ref to even go to the monitor or anything. Purely because if the ref goes to monitor, he's going to give a pen. It's
Yeah.
pretty much a given these days. But yeah, I do absolutely think he bottled it. But that was pretty much the last of our chances, if I remember rightly, or clear cut chances anyway, in that half from the potential penalty. Maybe Tonali had a good one too, I think it was, with Barnes and Gordon. And the shot there would just fizzle wide, something like that. I'm not sure if that was before or after. But the last talking point of the game, this was in, I think it was the 92nd minute. And not sure which Man City player it was, but he took the ball on the volley, edge of the box, span, and rifled it towards Nick Pope. And luckily, Nick Pope managed to get his paw and just smash it over the crossbar, or else it would have been another late goal and another late defeat at the hands of Man City at St James's Park.
Yeah.
What did you
Which is
think
what
of
we do.
Nick Pope during the game? Because I want to touch on him in just a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, I think just first of all, I think that was Holland then, and then afterwards, Holland did a header, which was kind of pretty
That's right,
tame.
aye.
Went straight to Poby. There was one chance that Longy absolutely blammered, and it went just agonisingly
Yes.
wide. Um, I only know this because I'm reading Nufc.com right now. Put it on the screen right here. I don't actually remember. I do remember some of this, but I don't remember the specifics. And then there was obviously shitloads of extra time, and you're thinking, "Oh God Almighty!" We've just seen them do it against Arsenal in the dying embers of that particular game, and you're thinking, uh, we should have had another penalty. You could argue we should have only had one, and we got it. That's fine. Um, I think in the end the draw was a good result for both teams, given how it could have went. City would obviously rue those drop points, but they didn't lose either. Pope, coming back to your point, Nick Pope, he, he's a wonderful shot stopper,
Yes.
and he's pretty effective at the sweep as well. Although he can at times brain fart when he's trying to sweep if it's a little bit too much of a panicked situation, but he does at least have an ability to sweep. He punches more often than I'd like him to. He palms away more often than I'd like to. And, you know, here I go again talking about keepers that should be catching the ball when it's clear as day that it's at hand height or head height, and it's in two of his hands and they're just palmed to the side, and then you don't know what's going to happen next. Catch the damn thing. Um, and then you're in control of what happens next. It's not that bad. It's not that difficult to understand. It's straightforward. I'm saying that as an armchair fan, but
Hmm.
his distribution is, I think, the one of the major problems with him, because he just kind of kicked the ball. And he's thinking as well. Like sometimes there's a short pass on. Sometimes he can just do a nice sensible ball to the wing, maybe even through the middle as if the space is there. But more often than not, he'll just blam it. He'll just hawk it all the way up the pitch and effectively surrender possession to the opposition, and it just comes back at you. And it happens time and time again. And you think to yourself, why did you do that? But sometimes he has time. He can just pause for a second, look at his options, play a simple ball. We can start playing from the back, but he hawks it, and you get a turnover, and you're not really any better off at the end of the day. You've cleared your lines, yes, but it's just going to come straight back at you, and you're not in control of the ball. You're not in control of the narrative. You can't do anything about it while the ball's in the opposition's possession. So, as much as I love him, and you were saying before what came on, he's obviously easily the best keeper at the club. He does have his weaknesses, as we all do, but in his position, those weaknesses are amplified typically. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of him or anything like that, but we need longer term, maybe even short term. I don't even know how long he's got left in his contract, but sooner or later we're going to have to get a keeper who is elite. Because as good as Pope is, I don't know if he's like elite. You know what I mean? I know he plays for England. He never really plays, but he's in the squad. But like, is he elite? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with everything that you said there, and again, it's those brain fart moments which may have cost us a few points in previous games. I know the Fulham game, he had that Chris Packenham moment where the ball just bounced off his mitt and rolled into the back of the net from, I think it was Smith Rowe who took the shot. He should have saved that, in my opinion. They could have had a completely different game, but we'll never know. But the big one for me, the big brain fart on this one, and luckily it didn't result in anything, was that misplaced pass to Gundogan in the first half. It was there was Haaland and Gundogan right in the middle of the pitch. I think he had it was Hall and Trips either side of those, one left, one the right, obviously, and he had easy pass to either. Decides to play it up the middle to try and get, I think it was to Bruno, passes it straight to Gundogan, who luckily fluffed his shot because all you had to do was lift it over Pope and it's in the back of the net, and
Yeah,
Pope catches it thankfully. But it's moments like that and his distribution as well that'll just make me think, yes, he is the best keeper I've had at club since Shea Given, but you're right, he's not without faults. But those faults are creeping in even more and more now, I've noticed. Whether it's a confidence thing, whether it's he's just aging that little bit quicker than what most keepers do, because most keepers tend to hit their peak a little bit later in life. Maybe he's already hit his peak and he's just coming to the end of that. Who knows? Again, that's a one for another day, maybe another podcast. But I do think we do need to upgrade on him in the summer. He'd
in the
be
summer.
an amazing number two to have. You can't think of many better number twos out there. Again, he's certainly way better than Dubravka, John Ruddy, and that Greek fella who nobody can pronounce. We'll let Dimmy get him on for that one. And the other one is the local lad. Forgot his name. Saved the
Gillespie.
penalty in Melbourne. Gillespie. Totally forgot his name. He's probably better than all of them combined, to be honest, in terms of
Yeah,
his goalkeeping attributes. But there's elements of his game which are starting to creep in more and more, which are costing us possession and ultimately will cost us points. Hopefully, he can get his head wrapped around and get back to as good as he once was before he dislocated his shoulder. Because, yeah, he is a quality keeper. We just need to say that a little bit better of him.
yeah. I mean, it is important to say that just at the end that he is still an exceptionally good keeper. But
Yes.
as I said, these mistakes, and as you say, the more they creep in, the more they get amplified, the more they are likely to be targeted by the opposition if they do any kind of homework, and the more pressure it puts on the back line in particular, but also, if he's trying to reach the midfield and ballooning it, then the midfield's got to track back and you're out of position and you're in a different phase straight away. So yeah, he is very good, but I don't know if it's this summer, but I do think sooner rather than later we're going to have to try and find, and maybe that's why they're looking at this Trafford fella. Like, do they see
Maybe.
him as a permanent solution? Like, is he Pope's successor? Don't know, but I'm not sure about that one. But yeah, I do think we're going to have to do something about Pope sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. We'll leave Nick Pup as is now. I just want to touch on the breaking news that happened. I think it was just before the game. Anthony Gordon pretty much confirmed the new contract is in the works. It's pretty much
Mm.
99% signed. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, happy are you that he's committing his future to the club, mate?
Um, yeah, absolutely. Thrilled at the news that he's got to sign, particularly given the fact we tried to sell him in the summer, which thankfully didn't happen. But he is a terrific player. You know, if there's any kind of escape clauses in the contract, then it might be a slightly different story for us as fans every time a bloody transfer window comes along. But he's such an important player for us. He brings a lot of energy. He brings a lot of running. He can play on the wings either side. He can play through the middle. Um, he's got a great attitude. He's got a good footballing brain. He can win penalties. He can score penalties. And I think we are noticeably not as good when he's not in the team. So it's excellent that he's going to sign. I think it's a long-term signature as well, a long-term contract. What is it now?
Yeah.
2024? I think I've heard somewhere it's going to take up to 2030, so another 6 year, one of those 6 years, which is fantastic, frankly. But hopefully it's not just to protect the club's interests only. I mean, I want us to integrate him. I want us to build around him. I want Gordon to be here for as much as that time as possible, but time will tell. But yeah, great news. And he seems keen on doing it as well.
Yes, absolutely. You seemed over the moon. The fact that just about all but signed, sealed, and delivered. Hopefully, we got the breaking news for that. Maybe the next few days. Who knows? We will see on that one.
It'll be as soon as we finish this, mate. It'll pop up on bloody X
Probably
every single time.
more than likely. I. Now we are still without a win against Man City in the Premier League since a certain corner kick and Raji scored again a penalty back in 2019 when Rafa was the boss. Can you see a win coming against Man City in the league anytime soon? Because it's looking a bit bleak in terms of getting results against the top teams. I don't mind taking points off them because we were in a losing position and it was a fantastic display on that one. But if we're
Mm.
going to prove ourselves to get elite football, we've got to start beating the elite.
Yeah, we
Whether we
do.
do it once a season, twice a season, whatever, But we've got to
We do.
start getting to that level.
We do tend to miss out on good opportunities. And looking at the way Man City were just sort of ambling around and not looking particularly arsed, I would probably say that this game was a great opportunity to get a win. It's just typical bloody luck that Isaac has snapped his leg off or something, and he wasn't available because you'd have to think there was that moment when Murphy cut that ball right across the box, and it was just dying for someone just to tap it in. Like, you look at
Hmm.
Solanke scoring at the weekend for Spurs, he had to barge through a whole bunch of people to get his toe on the end of that goal that he scored.
Yeah.
But that ball from Murphy was so well taken and had everybody just sort of watching it that someone like Isaac, who was just waiting, loitering at the back to tap that in, would have loved it. And of course, he's bloody injured, isn't he? So I do think we will get around to beating these guys at some point. Maybe it's going to take Man City, ironically, to win that legal case so that we can go spend shitloads of money.
Hmm.
But the day is coming. It probably won't be down at the Etihad, but you never know. It could be this year still. Could be. We might get them in the cup and beat them then.
Well, we'll beat them
But
last year in the cup. It's in the league. We just kind of beat them,
but
which
not the
is
league. Yeah, I was just thinking there. Yeah, so the league itself. I don't know, but I think it's coming. I think it's coming. We've just got to take the opportunity when it arrives.
so. Ending that one. Who was your man of the match?
Gordon.
Go. I'm going to go with
Oh,
Big Dan Burn.
Burn was good. Lewis Hall. A lot of people were saying he was
Yeah.
excellent in that game as well.
Mhm.
So shout out to him as well. But I think Gordon winning the penalty, scoring the penalty, and just all around being an absolute nuisance wins it for me. Burn was good
For
though.
me, it was effectively the complete opposite with Dan Burn. He marshalled arguably the best striker in world football to the point where you might as well not have been on the pitch. He had that one-headed attempt, as you mentioned, which was a team effort, and that was it. But yeah, he first game he has failed to score in this season, and as
Yes.
mentioned, we are the worst scoring team he's played against. So long may that continue. The quicker Vigo, the Carpathian, goes back to Manchester and has dreams about Big Dan Burn, all the better for me. But we'll leave that there. And we'll move on to the preview of the Wimbledon game, which is Wednesday morning for us. I can't remember what
Yeah,
time kickoff is,
Tuesday
but
UK. Yeah,
probably about 5 o'clock in the morning or some random crap time for us, something like that, more than likely. But what are your expectations on this one? And should we fear Wimbledon, albeit with the distant memory of Cambridge in that
yeah.
third round
I knew
FA
you were
Cup
going to.
exit a
I
few
knew
years
you're
back?
going to. I knew it. I knew you were going to bring up Cambridge, and if you didn't, I was going to. No, you have to respect whatever the opposition is. Eddie Howe in his presser today was saying that he doesn't really believe in the idea of some games being easy and as a kind of a almost a given that you're going to get the result. He sees every game as equally important, and I tend to believe him on that as well. I mean, sometimes you can just sort of do lip service here, but I do actually tend to believe Eddie when he says these things. He said that it's a competition we want to go far in. Of course, it is. We want to get a trophy, and we also want to get into Europe. Uh, he said there will be some players who haven't had a chance so far who will likely get into the squad, probably in the first 11, you'd imagine. Didn't tip his hand as to who, but he did say that it's a game that they're going to take very seriously because we do want to progress. So we will be on our guard. The good thing is it's at home. I was talking to Mark in the last preview, and he was saying that it's looking like a sellout, which is just absolutely amazing.
Aye.
Brilliant effort for a third round game against this League Two opposition, and it's presumably to some extent to give them a decent purse from the gates. So they get 45%, I think. So we will take this game seriously. We have to take it seriously. We are all professionals here. It'll be good for some of the stiffs to get a run out. Some of the guys who aren't getting much of a run out this season so far, and I think we will win. But I don't think it's going to be like a stroll in the park. I don't think so. Wimbledon are going to come up here with absolutely nothing to lose. It's a free hit for them. They probably do look at this as a free hit. They're going to go play in St James's Park, a massive stadium, probably the biggest they've ever done in their lives for some of those players. It's going to be a huge occasion for them. They've got nothing to fear, really. They've got nothing to lose. They're going to come out winners at the end anyway with the money that they're going to get and that they've already got from the charity. So they can play with a certain amount of freedom. In many ways, it's a kind of a lose-lose for us. You win and you're like, oh, you twats. And then you lose, you're like, oh, you dickheads. So it's like, how dare you beat these poor little League Twos who haven't got a ground that's not 6 feet underwater? Or how could it be so heartless by beating them? It's like, cannot win, but we have to win. That was a long,
Yeah.
rambling answer.
Now, I know you're not overly a fan of the League Cup or the Carabao Cup, whatever it's called these days, but obviously you do acknowledge that it is probably the best chance of silverware and a gateway to Europe this season.
Oh, aye. What's it, like 5 or 6 games you got to play, and that's it? And you're at Wembley? I mean, unfortunately for us, our next opponent will be Chelsea.
At
I
home,
say
though.
that this is me jumping far ahead here. I say next opponent. If we get through this round, our next opponent will be Chelsea, and Cole Palmer seems to be doing pretty well at the minute.
It does,
So whether or not he plays is a different matter. But is that one going to be at home, or is that it is? It is at
it is,
home, isn't
aye.
it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
we do have that advantage at least. Yeah, I don't much like this competition, but it does have value at the end of the day. I think I didn't like it mostly because we had Europe and a shitload of injuries. So I'm thinking like last season, and it was just one of those things where it's like, why do I have this one? Why do we need this competition here? Like, sack it off. For God's sake, they change it this year where some teams in Europe were getting like a free bloody home tie and they
Mm-hmm.
were already pre-picked out the bloody bag. I was like, what? We couldn't have done that last season for us? Oh, no. Do it this season. Cheers very much. So last season mostly. This season, because we've only got the league and 2 cups, it's not so bad.
Yeah, it has to be the number one focus. Obviously, the League Cup and the FA Cup. We're not going to win the Premier League as much as I get carried away and say that we will. The League Cup and the FA Cup has to be the road to glory this season, and bring the trophy is obviously the success that we all want. Gordon mentioned it; it has to be the ultimate goal this season. Every fan and player connected to the club wants to see that. But again, we've got to get over the hurdle of beating Wimbledon. And I know I'm probably overplaying how tough of a game this could be, but they talk about the magic of the cup. And again, as I mentioned just before, you look at Cambridge a few years ago in the FA Cup, upsets do happen, and it would be a major upset if it was to happen. And you mentioned the lineup, how Eddie's going to bring a few new fresh faces in. So I picked out a starting 11, and this is what I reckon Eddie could go with, or at least this is what I would go with. So Dubravka in goal, give Pope a little bit of a break. And left back, we've got Matty Target if he's over his eczema outbreak. And then Lloyd Kelly coming in. I don't think he played any minutes at all at the weekend, so he'll be fresh for that one. Fabian Shaw, if he's come from his 33 concussion attempts over the weekend, took a tiny few knocks to the old Booner
Yeah, a
on that
few
one.
times.
Tino will come in. He only played a short amount of time, I think like 20 minutes when he replaced Trips, who had cramp, who could be a doubt for this game, according to Eddie.
Mm.
If I remember
Mhm.
from the presser, I'll be touch and go with him. Midfield, Willock, Longstaff, and Tonali. Tonali's got more minutes in his legs. I think he went off about 70 minutes with cramp again as well. Longstaff, he replaced Tonali in said game, and Willock had a similar time frame as well. Harvey Barnes on the left, Miggy out on the right, and Big Willie Asula up top. You'd think on paper alone that squad or that starting 11 would be more than good enough to put away Wimbledon. But if not, it does leave us with a nice, hefty, strong bench with the likes of Joe Linton, Bruno, Gordon, and a few others on there who can come and make a difference. Would you be happy if Eddie selected that starting 11?
Yeah, I think so. As much as we're saying we need to respect Wimbledon and play the game seriously and try and get the win and all that, we probably don't need to be starting our first 11 Premier League team. So, and in any case, you want to have these other guys getting legs in the minutes for when the injuries inevitably start rolling in, or we need to do some kind of emergency formation change or something. So yeah, it makes sense to Matty Target. Yeah, that was a random bloody injury thing, wasn't it? Like, did not expect to have a skin condition keeping him out of a game. Um, Tino has already played a few minutes this season, but yeah, whatever. I mean, it's kind of like, who else are you going to play in these positions, really, if it isn't the first 11? Barnes has played a lot, so, but then again, who else would you put down the left if not him and not Gordon? What would you do there? Hall could probably come in and play a little bit more
The
forward.
only other thing I was going to do was maybe Hoy, Miggy, and Murphy on either side. But they've done
Murphy,
that
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
that
if
could be a shout.
they are
But
very
yeah, I
right
think
side.
Bonds didn't play the full 90 minutes, did he? Against
No,
City. I don't think he did. I think he played, what, maybe 70, 75 at a push, something like that.
76
So,
for Willock, yeah.
all right, okay, yeah. So he'll have a few extra steps in those legs come Wednesday, hopefully. And you'd like to think we'd have the game sewn up, what, by 60 minutes on the clock, to the point where you can just bring on some under 18 kids or whatever like that, just to give them some minutes in the legs. Say they've had a run out at St James's or anything, pump up their value for when we sell them in a year or two, just to say they've been part of the first team and they've won a cup game. But
Yeah,
it's definitely not going to be comfortable, or at least I don't expect it to be comfortable, because you're absolutely right. They will come here with absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it's pretty much the opposite way around for us, except we go round through to the next round of the cup. So I'll get your predictions on this one, Lee.
I think we'll win fairly comfortably. I think it'll probably be like a 3-0.
3-0. I actually think we'll concede if Dubravka does play, sorry.
Let's go.
If Dubravka does score, then I'll be out of the moon with that, to be honest. I think apparently they're quite decent from set pieces. Again, we should have enough in defence to say that out. But if old flappy hands Dubravka, he doesn't want to catch anything but a cold lately, then they could be in with a chance from the set pieces, who knows? But I'm going to go with 3-1.
3-1.
And I
Yeah,
think just to put people on edge, I'm actually going to say they'll score first as well.
fair enough. Get your bet on that one. I think probably we could play Kraft at the back instead of Shaw. I was just thinking there, who else could we stick at the back?
Aye, that's
Crafty,
true. Aye,
give
you can't
Shaw
play
a
there.
rest. Might be an idea. But yeah, I do think this is a game that we'll win pretty comfortably. Hopefully, Wimbledon don't do the old Wimbledon from the late 80s where they just go around
Crazy
punching
gang.
and kicking the crazy shit out of everything. Yeah, exactly, the crazy gang. Hopefully, they're not that kind of outfit anymore because we definitely do not need to be kicked up a height. Thank you very much from some League Two cloggers. um, no disrespect, but that was completely disrespectful. Yeah, so I think we'll do well. I think we'll do well, mate.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that. We'll wrap it up from that one. Before we do, if you haven't already, please join our Toon Telegram chat. You will see the QR code just above my finger right there. Lots of banter, lots of match day talk, everything like that. Come and join us if you're a bit sick of Twitter, Facebook, or whatever it may be. Those social media platforms are getting a little bit depressing these days. But yeah, scan the QR code or click the link in the description below once this video goes out, and we will join you in that one there. But thanks for joining me, Lee. I don't know who's going to be on Wednesday with the review of said Wimbledon game, but I know I will be, and I will see whoever is going to be on that one. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, everyone.